You're watching WSTV Digital Media.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the February 14, 2019 meeting of the City County Planning Board. Would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Today's meeting is being broadcast live on TV 13, being rebroadcast at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning and again at 4 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Our first order of business today will be the consent agenda. These are items for which the petitioner is requesting withdrawal or continuance, or items for which staff has recommended approval, and no one has signed up to speak in opposition. It appears that everything's going to be on consent today, so I'm going to skip over the rest of the rules. But the items under Section B of our agenda require final approval by the City Council. Votes taken today will go to them for their consideration. If you are addressing the board today, we'll need your name, address, and zip code for the record. First item of business, approval of the minutes of the January 10 and 24 meetings. Any additions, corrections?
Move approval. Second.
Motion, Mr. Lamb, second, Mr. Grubbs. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Now I'll call on Mr. Roberts for our consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. First item on your consent agenda is item B1. This is zoning case W3391, and this is an automatic withdrawal. It was continued from your January meeting. So this is automatic withdrawal for 3391. Next item is B2. This is zoning case number 3395, located on the west side of Union Cross Road. It's part of the Union Cross Moravian Church property, located just north of High Point Road. It's zoned agricultural, and the proposed request is to rezone this building and a little less than a half an acre to NB neighborhood business. The property is located within the Union Cross High Point Road Activity Center. The recommended land use is institutional. And also the 7 homes just to the north are recommended for conversion to low-intensity commercial and office uses. So staff felt like that was comparable to the recommendation for the properties, the other single-family homes, other structures on that side of Union Cross Road. The NB district has many inherent design controls and limitations. It's a very low-intense, non-residential district. So staff's recommendation is for approval, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. No one has signed up. Is anyone here opposed to this recommendation? Seeing no one, declare the public hearing closed.
Move approval. Second.
Motion, Mr. Lamb, second, Mr. Bryan. Any discussion? Those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Pull the microphone closer.
Next item is B3. This is a zoning case W3396. And again, it's a little less than half an acre. It's property located on Haynes Avenue on the north side, just east of Glen Avenue. This is a piece of property that's zoned industrial, surrounded by industrial zoning. But this is a small residential street. There's still a few homes on this property, and the request is to rezone that to RS7. This structure on the property has historically been used for single-family residence. It was a non-conforming use that was vacated for more than a year, so the non-conforming status was lost. The area plan actually does recommend residential for this property, and the other properties on the north side of Haynes So staff's recommendation is for approval, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Is anyone here opposed to this recommendation? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lamb, second by Ms. Dunnigan. Any discussion? Those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Next item is B4, zoning docket 3397. This is a site plan amendment for RM8S zone property located between Old Salisbury Road and Peters Creek Parkway, a part of the Oliver's Crossing original rezoning. And this is an automatic continuance request. We received that prior to Monday, so this has been automatically continued to your March 14th meeting. And last item on consent is item C1. This is a planning board review for a private school in AG zoning. You can see the subject property there, fairly large site, about 40 acres, located on the north side of High Point Road, just east of Union Cross Road. This is in the jurisdiction of Forsyth County, so I want to emphasize that. In 2013, you can see the footprint there of what was approved by you as a planning board review, December of 2013. Most of that has been built, what was approved, and now they're asking for an expansion shown in the gray area here to the right. Again, you have High Point Road at the bottom. This is a two-story school addition and gymnasium with circulation and parking going around the entire existing parking area for queuing and student drop-off, a widened access there on the High Point Road. And the site plan does meet UDO requirements, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Move approval.
There's second.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Lamb, second by Mr. Dunnigan. Mr. Grubbs needs to be excused. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that's it for consent agenda.
Okay. Thanks, sir. We're up to staff report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Scipio for coming out and spending some time with us this afternoon. So thanks for being here. I do want to give a formal announcement. I've mentioned to you Desmond Corley is joining us, and for those of you that do not know, and for the audience watching at home, I do want to formally announce Desmond's joining our staff. For those of you that don't know, Desmond is a native of Winston-Salem. He attended North Carolina State University, where he studied sociology and Spanish, and then after that he attended Cornell University as part of their graduate planning program. Desmond previously worked for us here in planning and development services from 2013 to 14 as a planner, and then from 2014 to 16 as a zoning plans examiner in our inspections division. And most recently, he has been working in development review for the town of Cary. Desmond started back with us on January 28th of this year, and we are very glad to have him as part of our staff. So, and I don't know if Desmond, if you'd like to say anything or not.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. I'm very pleased to work with this group of people and excited to see what we've got moving forward.
Welcome back.
Welcome
Glad to
back.
have you back.
Yep. And just a few updates on some things. Our downtown streetscape master plan, we are set up for another round of public meetings on that. Those will take place at Footnote. So that's right behind Foothills Brewery. I think it's 634 West 4th Street. And that'll be on February 26th. There'll be two drop-in sessions, one from 11:30 to 1:30 and another one from 5:30 to 7:30 that evening. February work session is the 28th, and we will have Mark Davidson, who is the director of Smith Reynolds Airport, coming to speak to you. And just give you an update, there are about 4 pretty substantial projects slated for Smith Reynolds over the next 3 to 4 years, and so Mark's going to come and just chat with the board and give you an overview of what's going on with the airport. US 158 Beltway Interchange meeting, our next one will be March the 12th from 6 to 7:30 in the Walkertown Library, so we'll see if we get the same level of attendance that we had before. I want to mention one initiative that is new this year, and it deals with Black History Month. And so one of the things that we did is, in talking with our historic resource staff members, Michelle McCullough and Heather Bratlin, we wanted to use Black History Month as a way to showcase some of our African American historic resources in the city and the county. And so Michelle and Heather spent some time with our marketing and communication staff to try to find a way to do that. And I don't know if you follow the city on social media, on the Facebook page, you may have already seen some of that. some of those efforts, and if you haven't, it's worth checking out. But what they came up with was a Black History Month Jeopardy game. And so the way that works is there are several categories, just like on Jeopardy. And on one day, say today, there is the answer is posted. And the first person that comments with the correct question, what is so-and-so, they win a copy of our Winston-Salem Architectural Resources book, which a lot of you remember is about an inch and a half thick, hardback book. Really, really nice prize. And so the next day, the answer is revealed. There is a picture of whatever the resource was, and then there's a little write-up on it, and then a link that takes you to the full write-up where folks can read more about that. So far, a good response to that. We are very excited about that. I'd like to thank Heather and Michelle for their work on that. That's something that we'd like to continue doing. So just wanted to mention that. If you haven't seen that, check that out. UDO 286 is our lighting ordinance. We took that to the county today. They approved that unanimously. They made one change. They were a little bit concerned with the part dealing with stadium lighting, specifically the glare control package. I think Commissioner Martin expressed some concerns about potential costs that could be incurred by the schools if they were to do that in the county's jurisdiction. So they approved it with a provision that allowed an applicant to come back to planning board to demonstrate if there were substantial reasons why they didn't feel like they needed to put in glare control. They could come back to the planning board, and the planning board could examine that on a case-by-case basis. That was the only change. Other than that, the balance of the ordinance that was adopted by the city was adopted by the county.
Planning board have the final decision in that, or
yes.
Okay.
Yep. Final decision will rest with the planning board. And the last thing I will mention is fences. So I think some of you have asked before about this potential fence ordinance. And so that was discussed at the Community Development, Housing, and General Government Committee this week. And the direction from that committee was to go ahead and initiate a text amendment. And so the city attorney's office will be doing that, and that will be slated to come to planning board probably in April for a public hearing. So we're a little bit out on that, but I wanted to tell you while it was fresh in my mind. So, and I think that's all I've got, other than Gary or Desmond, if you want to give sort of a preview of next month's meeting.
Sure. So next month we should have 8 items on the agenda, 7 zoning petitions. We originally had 8, but found an issue with one of them this morning, so it's going to be continued to April. One of those is a site plan amendment. 3 of them are special use requests, and 1 is a special use limited request, and then 1 is a planning board review.
So busy month coming up. So that is all I have for staff report.
Okay. We're going to have quick enough. You guys have no excuses for Valentine's tonight. Right. Anything here for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn. Good work, Arnold.
We're adjourned. Good meeting.